But let's dive into a little bit. So it's interesting, and I'm sure this taught you a lot, not only being in tune with your body, but also how you have to train and recover. Was you mentioned that you were diagnosed at 13 with type 1 diabetes, and you were still a very high intensity, high level athlete, right? With all the demands of rugby training, right? Which you said spans like 9 months out of the year. So talk a little bit about that. Like for any athletes that, may have type 1 diabetes, or, just athletes in general, of how to actually manage recovery, balance out training demands, all of the other things that you mentioned too, like mental readiness, emotional, cognitive. How did that kind of, I guess, teach you along the way how to actually be smart about training well, performing well, and all of that in rugby?
Yeah, so firstly, sport and fitness and training is one of the best things for good management of diabetes. So really does help you, give you much better blood sugar management. It does throw some challenges in the works too, like prepping for games as well, making sure you're in the right state to perform. All these different aspects. The pros a challenge, but definitely workable. One really interesting aspect is sort of how that ties into level of stress, how much adrenaline's pumping as well, all the different hormones that interact with our blood sugar, and sort of keeping calm and keeping those drivers at bay is pretty crucial for sort of good management as well, as it relates to sort of getting in the best state to perform. So a lot of sort of adapting around that as I was preparing for games and for training, and a lot of monitoring within the games as well. Some things you can control, some things you just don't have the time in that period to control, because if you're too high, it's going to take some time to bring that down. The insulin takes some time to work. So there's definitely controllables and there's definitely uncontrollables too. So selecting the things you can control is pretty key there as well.
And when you think about it, so, you were already playing rugby for a few years, and then now you had to really pay attention to blood sugar levels, kind of how you're training. Did that spark further interest into anything related to performance, like exercise science or nutrition? Once you kind of had to be a little bit more aware as to how your body's going to react to things?
Definitely. I'd say that's really what sparked my interest in it all. So yeah, it made me just completely fascinated with how things work. When you're literally controlling a bodily process, you get super attuned to your body, and you get super attuned to your physiology and how things work. So yeah, it's really sparked my love for it, and in some ways grateful for that. But yeah.
Yes. And I'm sure it helps you in many ways to this day to just have that perspective and that experience of, like you said, being really attuned to your body and how it's responding to everything.